The rush of the marking left Trinity more than lightheaded. Trinity swayed on her feet, falling back into Reese's grip. He tightened his hold onto her to keep her upright, but he hadn't noticed that she was literally weak in the knees. He addressed their pack.
We are finished for tonight. My Luna and I thank you all for coming. Be safe, my friends, he said with authority.
Trinity's head lolled back against Reese. He probably saw it as affection, but she really did feel drained after the intensity of the ritual. She spotted her family in the crowd. Aunt Eve and Uncle Wesley clapped hands. Carter stood taller, prouder than ever. Their love and respect had been her one constant. Even Grandfather smiled at her. Her family waved their goodbyes from where they were. Trinity closed her eyes while the rest of the crowd dispersed. Trinity closed her eyes while the rest of the crowd dispersed. Footsteps approached. Alpha, Noah greeted with a grin. He glanced at Trinity and bowed his head dramatically. My Luna. Trinity didn't have the energy to roll her eyes. She noted Vincent and Leslie had followed Noah back over to them. Reese let go of Trinity and stepped towards Noah. Without him holding her up, Trinity swayed deeper this time. Vincent rushed forward, catching her just before she truly fell down. Noah and Reese turned to look at them in shock. Whoa. Trin, what's wrong? Noah asked. She shook her head. Nothing, just the heat of the marking was so intense, so draining that I feel weak now. Reese growled protectively.
I can't take you back. I still have some work to do. He turned to the guards. Will one of you carry her back?
I will, Leslie volunteered eagerly. No, Trinity said instantly. Reese and Noah looked at her with suspicion. She didn't want Leslie touching her when she was like this. She'd seen the way he looked at her as they waited near the clearing. Vincent tightened his grip on her as if he understood. I will do it, sir, Vincent offered. Reese waited for Trinity's response, and once she nodded, Vincent slightly lifted her into a bridle-like hold and cradled her in his arms.
He checked in with her. Will you need someone to help you change once you're in your room?
Trinity nodded. I will call someone, Noah answered firmly, taking out his phone.
Reese grinned appreciatively at Noah. Thank you.
Before Trinity knew it, they reached her bedroom. She had not fallen asleep. Her body was weak, but she wasn't actually tired. Vincent shifted her in his arms so he could open the door. As soon as he was inside, he quickly shut the door, basically slamming it in Leslie's face. Hey! Leslie shouted from the other side. Vincent ignored him. He carried Trinity to the bed and set her gently in the middle of it. She sunk back into the soft mattress. I will stand guard at your door, Vincent told her. But I'm not under house arrest anymore, she reminded him. This is not to keep you in, Luna, but to keep anyone else out. His eyes cut to the door, and Trinity knew without asking that Leslie was still on the other side. Her heart swelled in gratitude. Thank you, Vincent. No thanks necessary, Luna, he insisted. You're the best guard I could ask for. He smiled. Thank you, Trinity. It felt nice to hear him address her without the formality. As if remembering himself, he dropped to one knee and bowed as the pack did in the forest. His eyes twinkled with humor when he finished. He stood and left the room. As the door opened, Trinity heard Leslie growl. I'm her guard the same as you, Leslie hissed. Vincent shut the door, but Trinity could still hear them on the other side. Vincent said, You're dismissed for tonight. She only needs one guard. What makes you so special? Leslie demanded. I don't make her uncomfortable, Vincent told him flatly. Leslie scoffed. That's ridiculous. You have overstepped your bounds. You've fallen asleep on the job. You're lucky the Alpha hasn't removed you from your station. I won't tell you again, Leslie. Go home. Fine. But this isn't the end, Leslie spat back. Trinity didn't love the sound of that. Grandfather had always said that wolves were proud people. She wouldn't worry about it yet, but they would need to stay ready for how Leslie reacted. A few minutes later, her door opened again. Vincent led in Aunt Eve, Nikki, who was doing the job of stylist this evening, and Peter, the elderly butler. Peter usually brought Trinity meals. His tray was much lighter that night. "Good evening, Luna. I have an energy booster for you. Juice and cookies." Peter placed the tray on her bedside table. "Thank you, Peter," Trinity said. He inclined his head in a bow before leaving. Aunt Eve cautiously stepped to the edge of the bed. Trinity used what energy she did have to sit up to meet her aunt's eye. "Are you all right?" Aunt Eve asked. Vincent answered for her. "The marking has taken a great deal of energy out of her. I'm sure you ladies remember that fire that rages in your body during the ritual. It seems the fire is more intense when marked by the alpha." Nikki's eyes widened. The fire was already painful. "She must be exhausted," Aunt Eve said. She looked at Vincent. "What do you need?" "Please help our Luna prepare for bed. She is not capable of changing on her own," he answered. "Oh, yes, of course. You may leave." Aunt Eve glanced back at Trinity. "I haven't helped you get ready for bed in years." Trinity chuckled as Vincent left the room. "I haven't needed it," she said. "Relax. We got you." Aunt Eve and Nikki got right to work. They untied Trinity's gladiator-style sandals. Then they worked together to unbutton the side of the dress from her body. Nikki hurried to the bathroom to fetch a washcloth, while Aunt Eve took the hair combs from Trinity's hair. "Should I take out the braid as well, or are you leaving it in?" she asked. "You can leave it in. It keeps the hair out of my face," Trinity answered. Nikki came back then and gently washed off Trinity's makeup. Trinity frowned. "You made me so beautiful," Trinity told her. "I only enhanced what was already there. I promise." Nikki smiled at her. Aunt Eve took that time to get sleep clothes for Trinity. She returned with those and picked up the juice for Trinity to drink. "Here, drink up. You need your strength." Trinity took a sip. "Thank you for everything." Her voice was filled with love and sincerity. Her aunt looked confused, so Trinity added, "Both now and back in the forest." "I wasn't going to let anyone talk to you like that," Aunt Eve said. "You're my niece, but you might as well be my daughter. I will not let someone disrespect you that way." "And I guess the alpha stepped in too," Aunt Eve teased playfully. "Who would have thought you would be our Luna? I always knew you could do anything." The love in her eyes made Trinity tear up. No, don't cry," Aunt Eve said. "This is a happy night." "Happiest night of her life," Nikki said with a wiggle of her eyebrows. "Did you see the way the alpha looked at her?" Aunt Eve whistled lowly. Trinity sipped her juice as her cheeks warmed. "Don't be shy," Aunt Eve said. "Unless he's into that sort of thing. Just get your rest. You're going to need it," Nikki added. Trinity's jaw dropped, but the words reminded her of what usually followed the marking. Oh my goddess. She eyed the sexy nightie that Aunt Eve had pulled from her drawer. It was the only sensual thing Trinity owned. Another tailor-made gift. Baby blue with thin lace straps and embroidery around the low neckline to draw all the attention to her breasts. Trinity's eyes widened. "Tonight?" "Breathe, Trin," Aunt Eve said. How could she? She had been so focused on the marking so that she could get her freedom. She totally forgot that mates consummated their bond right after. While Reese had certainly been with women intimately, this would be monumental for Trinity. Part of her wanted to refuse. They barely got along. He rarely seemed interested in her. But the spike of desire broke through some of her exhaustion. Her body craved him. Not only as her mate, but as one of the most gorgeous men she had ever seen in her life. How would he be with her? Gentle, like when he carried her from the library? Firm, like when he told her the rules of their new life together? Or something else entirely? Her chest flushed at the thought of seeing that same hunger from the ceremony in a more intimate setting. The growl of his wolf in her ear. The nip of his teeth without the enhanced strength. "Somebody's waking up," Nikki joked. Trinity shook her head quickly. Aunt Eve patted her arm gently. "No need to be embarrassed. We've all been there. Let's get you dressed, so you can rest until he gets here." They got her into the nightie, and Trinity's body hummed with nerves. It helped to have them there, knowing that she had people who cared about her and were excited for her. Maybe being mated to the alpha was the best thing that could have happened for her. Tonight, everything changed. An hour later, Trinity stirred at the slight knock of the door. She knew who it was immediately. His scent carried through the door like it was nothing. She quickly swiped a hand down her braid to make sure her hair had stayed perfect.
Trinity?
She felt stronger already. The nap had helped, and now she was ready for this. Ready to be his. The goddess wouldn't steer them wrong. She pushed up from her bed to greet him at the door. He stood on the other side in the same suit from the ceremony. The fabric had been soft beneath her hands before. It was pure black, a perfect opposite to the shiny silver of her Luna dress. Unlike earlier, the top 2 buttons of his shirt were open, exposing just the barest glimpse of his chest. He was fully clothed, head to toe, in the black light of the midnight sky, and with her silver nightie, she was his moon. Her heart pounded. Heat pooled low in her stomach as she tried to think of what to say to him. "Want to come inside?" Her mate gulped. When his eyes met hers, it was clear he wanted her. Badly. By goddess, she wanted him too.
Don't let your excitement die! The full audio series is on the Pocket FM app. Tap the link in the description to install now.